George Floyd's brother testified before the House Judiciary Committee this morning in an effort to push for, of course, much needed reforms with policing in the United States. Now, I didn't want to cut or edit out any portion of his statement because I thought it was powerful. So although the video that we're about to toss to is a little long, I think it is important to hear it in its entirety. Let's take a look.
Gave the little that he had to help others. He was our gentle giant. I was reminded of that when I watched the video of his murder. He called all the officers sir. He was mild-mannered. He didn't fight back. He listened to all the officers. The man who took his life, who suffocated him for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, he still called them sir as he begged for his life. I can't tell you the kind of pain you feel when you watch something like that. When you watch your big brother, who you looked up to your whole entire life, die begging for his mom. I'm tired. I'm tired of pain. Pain you feel when you watch something like that. When you watch your big brother, who you looked up to for your whole life, die begging for his mom. I'm here to ask you to make it stop. Stop the pain. Stop us from being tired. George called for help and he was ignored. Please listen to the call I'm making to you now, to the calls of our family and the calls ringing out the streets across the world. People of all backgrounds, genders, and races have come together to demand change. Honor them, honor George, and make the necessary changes that make law enforcement the solution and not the problem. Hold them accountable when they do something wrong. Teach them what it means to treat people with empathy and respect. Teach them what necessary force is. Teach them that deadly force should be used rarely and only when life is at risk. It is on you to make sure his death is not in vain. I didn't get the chance to say goodbye to Perry while he was here. I was robbed of that. But I know he's looking down at us now. Perry, look up at what you did. Big brother, you changed the world. Thank you for everything, for taking care of us when on earth, for taking care of us now. I hope you found mama and you can rest in peace with power.
I thought that was a very powerful statement, especially because I don't know, at least for me, it makes me think about my own family members and what it would be like to watch my own brother get murdered in broad daylight like that. Yeah. And worry that there wouldn't be justice, you know, and there's so many people out there who have experienced that and never received any justice. You know, in many cases, those cops are still working. They still have their jobs. They were never fully prosecuted. Maybe they were put before a grand jury and a grand jury decided, oh, no, it was totally okay to, let's say, shoot and kill an unarmed person, even though there was absolutely no indication that this person posed a threat. I mean, how many stories did we report on like that and there was no justice? So I just felt that it was such a powerful statement. And all I ask for people watching this, you know, even if you might disagree with us politically, ideologically, whatever it is, just for a moment, if you get turned off by people calling for reforms, people calling to defund the police and shift that money over to social services that we desperately need, put yourselves in the shoes of these individuals who have watched their family members get murdered. Those tapes, those videos exist. They're online. They're never going to go away. In a lot of cases, there's no justice. And just ask yourself how you would feel if you were in his shoes.
Yeah. And as I watch that, I think about, you know, I'm sure him and his brother have had to see so many other instances like this in the past. They might have spoken about it. And he finds himself having to deal with that now. And there are people that are watching that speech, maybe watching it right now on our channel, who, because of how sick our system is and how resistant to change it is, that they might go through that same situation. The cycle is just so sick. And one portion of how sick it is like you're tearing up. We all feel for the experience of what his family and his friends have gone through. And we like to think that, well, we don't anymore, but maybe when we were younger, we used to think that there are these different groups in politics and they disagree, but we all just want to do the right thing. Like, does anyone think that Trump has thought for 3 consecutive seconds about what the Floyd family is actually going through? We know he had a phone call with him and wouldn't even let them speak. Does anyone think that, like, the right-wing pundits that are doing everything they can to turn the American people against the protests to make sure that there is no justice, no reform, that they've seriously thought about it, that Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson just sat down and wept for the Floyd family? No, there's no. Doesn't care. The best you can hope for is that, like last night, Sean Hannity had to admit that, it shouldn't have happened. The empathy. It shouldn't have happened. And then he immediately turned to, it's just a few bad apples. That's the best you can hope for. When we are faced with a tsunami of videos of police brutality, maybe you can get them to say, well, it shouldn't have happened. But now let me change the subject to something else.
And that's what we've heard over and over again from right-wing television personalities, from right-wing politicians. And it's just what I can't get over, and this is what I talk about all the time when I say that this job has skewed my image of humanity significantly. Like, I can't get over just how many terrible people exist in this world and how many people feel comfortable. Right, constantly. And I can't get over how confident and comfortable they feel in voicing how purely evil they are and how they just justify what's been happening in this country for far too long. And a lot of it has to do with greed. A lot of it has to do with cowardice. I mean, yes, Trump is a problem. But I would argue the larger problem is that the very people who are supposed to be holding him accountable, the very people who are supposed to serve as a check or a balance to Trump's executive power, are people who are so concerned about their own political careers that they refuse to do anything to stand up to Trump, even when they know that he has been absolutely disastrous for this country, for this democracy, for our constitutional rights. It's just difficult to stomach that day in and day out. Now, real quick, just some background on what this hearing was about. Again, this was the House Judiciary Committee, and the hearing will examine the crisis of racial profiling, police brutality, and lost trust between police departments and the communities they serve. There were, of course, other speakers who testified during this hearing, including Benjamin Crump, who's a very vocal attorney. He's represented so many people who have unfortunately been victimized by this type of injustice. Attorney Benjamin Crump presented a handful of concrete reforms to lawmakers, including mandatory body cameras, appropriate level of force based on level of threat, banning restraints like chokeholds and strangleholds, which of course some departments throughout the country have already done, but we don't have that kind of ban on a federal level, and reforms to how qualified immunity is applied to police officers. He was also quoted as saying, the founding fathers knew they had not built an infallible system, a faultlessly union, but they did task us with the perpetual duty to aim for it, a more perfect union of justice, liberty, resilience, hope, and compassion. We have to do better, and we must strive to live up to those American ideals. And I think that statement is so important because for all the people who pretend they care about our democracy, what you're seeing out on the streets right now with Americans trying to hold our lawmakers accountable, trying to hold people in positions of power accountable, is what democracy is supposed to be like. And if you're against it and you want it to stop and you go out and you smear these demonstrators and protesters, then you're not really for democracy. You might pretend you are, but the only time you're in favor of democracy is when it suits you.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.